Hey everyone, Nate here from Octave Studios. I hope you are all having yourselves a wonderful day. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time to do another tips and tricks video. And this time I want to go into something a little more in-depth that I think would be very helpful for at least one person in your band to look into and possibly be running. And as you can see, I'm in my control room. My tack scorpion's behind me. I have my Schecter to my right here because I want to show you guys a few things on why having someone who can use a DAW is helpful in your band. Without further ado, here we go. Okay, so first off, what is a DAW and why is it handy to have someone in your band who can use one? Well, a DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. Essentially, if you imagine back in the days when mixers like that bad boy back there were attached to tape machines and used for recording, it's essentially all that in your computer. So you no longer have to worry about tape. That's now essentially the space on your hard drive, or preferably your external hard drive, as you don't want to take up space on your computer. And it's a very easy, inexpensive route to go about recording and demoing music at home at your own leisure. There are numerous free ones out there. A lot of people I know still use Audacity, and if you're one of them, go and download CALKWALK by BandLab. It used to be known as Sonar by Roland. It is a wonderful DAW. It has a bunch of free VSTs. There's a wicked community of individuals that post music for criticism and critiques. And there's a bunch of loops and samples that you can use as well if you're just getting into writing. It's great for hip-hop artists, R&B artists, maybe more trance and electronic. I've seen a lot of that on there. And there's also rock and metal. So it is open for anything. DAW is not generally specific to your style. It's specific to how you like to work. I personally use Reaper. It is a free one to use, and you can buy it after about 60 days or so. It only costs $60 for most people, unless you're making a lot of money in your studio off it, in which case it is a bit more. But even if you don't want to pay for it, you can still use the trial feature for a long time. It is a great customizable DAW, and that's the one I'm going to show you. Some other ones you can find are Studio One, Pro Tools is a very well-known one, Cubase, and there are loads more out there. If you don't like how Reaper looks, but you don't want to invest in Pro Tools, you don't want to invest in Cubase, and you're maybe using Audacity, go get CALKWALK by BandLab. I downloaded it just to use it because I used to use Sonar way back when, and I really like some of the VSTs they have. But this is really helpful to have in your band just for the sake of having the tools to be able to build your songs. If you're building your lineup, it makes it really easy for you to write parts that you maybe don't already have. Whether it's through means like Guitar Pro and then exporting the MIDI into Reaper, or your DAW, then using a MIDI bass sampler, for instance, if you're writing bass lines and you don't have a bass and you just want to write the ideas. Like, these are really good writing tools for getting ideas out there. If you're building your lineup, it'll help you at least write drum ideas, bass ideas, whatever you need to at least get the general consensus apart. Maybe you're looking for a vocalist. You can at least make an instrumental to send off to someone to see if they're interested in it. It's also a very easy way of working for certain types of creatives. I personally really like working in a DAW. I like jamming with people as well, but I find once there's an idea that's figured out, it's really handy to just go to the DAW and do what you can. And it's, again, really great for creating demo tracks to send off to promoters, engineers, producers, other musicians that you might want to work with. Like, it's really good to be able to create your own demo of all of this stuff. All right, we're going to try this again here. We have Reaper open. I had to quickly make sure sound was sending to my screen capture so that I could show you everything. So if you want to set up a new project, it's really simple. Just when you open it up, if you don't have anything loaded and you've just started up fresh, it'll automatically bring up this screen that I'm about to show you right here. So this is where you would create your project directory, and this is really handy for keeping things organized. We're in a test mix here. I've already gone through. I created my demo one right here. I'm just going to overwrite it. And there's your clean new project. You can change your sample rate if you're not sure. Don't mess with it. Generally, most things are at 44,100 or 48,000 in general. It depends on your audio interface. You can change your tempo, BPM. So say we want this to be at, I don't know, 140. Shits and giggles. We'll open up a different project, and I don't know if I have it at that, but we're going to say this one's at 140 right now. and everything's good, set to go, wonderful, hunky-dory. What a good day. Now let's go and load up the old project here with all my examples that I can show you. So now that you've got your project set up, you want to make sure that your audio interface and all your VSTs are set up and loaded. So first, we're here at VSTs. Let's just make sure they're good. We loaded it. We went to plugins, VST, and this is the path for all of those plugins you've either downloaded or bought through CALKWALK or any other distributor. There's a bunch of free VSTs out there. You don't have to buy them. There's actually some really good free ones out there. And if you got Reaper, you have some great free compressors and EQs as well that you can use, and gates. Like, there's a bunch of stuff within Reaper that's free that you can use. If you got a guitar amp sim, this would be the moment to pay attention and make sure that you have it located. So it wants to know the source of these files. So you would go to Edit, Add, and you would go find the folder that you have your files in. So maybe it's in your program files generally, either this one or this one. And you'll go down, find your VST folder. In this case, I had some old Cubase stuff, so I still have that. A bunch of stuff I still have to delete, but VSTs, where are we? Right there. So that's where I would click that, source it, everything's good. I already have all my stuff sorted. I don't want to mess with it. Keep going, girl. Thank you. But everything's sorted, everything's good to go, and we are ready. So let's check our audio devices now. So audio, device. So generally, if you have a 2-channel interface or a single-channel interface, this is where you would go and click ISO. If you don't, you would go direct sound or dummy audio, whichever one is better for your computer if you're using the mic input on your computer. But I would advise getting a 2-channel interface. It'll just be a lot easier for you down the line on organizing everything and making sure everything's fluent. Then if you have a Windows computer, if you want ISO for all, go download. It's a free ISO driver that'll help organize everything for you. You can select all your inputs. That's how I'm able to have my speakers go, as well as record audio through my screenshots. I have it running to 2 different devices to capture the audio. You can check your project rate again. Depending on what device you're using, you can pull up the configuration, just kind of mess with things a little bit. Really get that feel how you want. If you got a bit too much latency, you can mess with the sample rate a bit. Less sample rate means less latency, but higher form of glitching. Higher sample rate, less latency, or like more latency, but less chance of glitching. So if, say, you're mixing, you would go into a higher sample rate, and if you're just tracking, you would go into a lower sample rate. So that's all set up. That's great. So now we want to get into setting up a new track. It's really simple. If you know the hotkey in Reaper, Control-T, you got a new track right there. If you don't know the hotkey, just go Insert, New Track. Where are you? Where are you? Track. There we are. There we are. Insert track. There we are. Or again, Control-T, easy to go. We're going to call this our guitar. Now, as you can see, I've already set up some MIDI drums as an example later. If you have, let's say you get KONTAKT LITE and GETGOODDRUMS LITE. They're both free VSTs that you can go and get to run sample drums. And I believe CALKWALK actually has its own sound center with drums in there as well. So it really depends on what you want. If you want to, say, go in and write this MIDI that we have here, I click on it, kind of pulls up this MIDI grid with the drums I've programmed. To create that, you click here, make sure your input is set to MIDI, virtual keyboard, all channels. Pick a spot, hold down Control so you see this little pen, and just click and drag until you have the area, and then there you go. You're set, you're wonderful. You can do what you need to do to create the sounds you need to create. You got some kick, got some snare, tom, some other stuff. So there you go. You can just kind of write stuff down. I'm obviously not hitting anywhere that has a sample triggered on it. But so that's how you can go and set that up quickly. And then within, say, your guitar, we want to arm it. We want to make sure it's ready to go. So first, same thing, make sure our input's ready. I have my input, it's a mono input, and I actually have mine sourced to GT input number 2. So as I click over there, I should be good. I'm going to hit record and hit monitor. So as I pick up my guitar right here and strum a few stupid things, you can hear the clean DI signal. And what you should be doing, if you don't already own a DI box, this will be really handy for you to get one of those as well. It'll give you a cleaner DI sound, even if you have to run it through a preamp. Like I know the Focusrite, the Tascam, and the Samson that I have all have 1/4-inch capability. but I like to be able to control my sound a bit more. So if you get even $100 passive DI box, just so that you can run an XLR in there, it'll clean things up a lot more. But we want an amp sim, right? We don't want to hear clean DI sounds. So as you can see, you just click on this field here, and you get a nice little type box, which I like. So you can just kind of search what you want. I want bass effects, and we're going to pull it up. So with bias, I now have my amp sim, and I can go in here, pick some random tone that I kind of like. Pick up my pick. So there, cool. We got our tone. Everything's set up. You can still hear it even with it closed. I'm just going to turn off my volume. So now we want to get into making sure that we have a metronome, make sure our time signature's set up, all that. So if you want to, say, create markers to know where everything is. So say I want to go here and I want to know, okay, I have a section here. Shift M will create a marker. And I want to say this is going to be riff 1. Cool. I'm going to come over here, do the same thing. Control M, riff 2. So now when I zoom out, I know what's what. I know where everything is. This right here is the project region. So if, say, I have a loop set up on my interface, it'll just loop this for me now in this region. When I'm exporting, just clicking and dragging, I'm now creating the project that I want to export this audio in when I get to a later time. Don't necessarily need to do that right now. It's just something to do. And if you want to lock it, just hit L. And now, as you can see, I can't do anything. Hit L again. I can change it. We want to click up here. I have my metronome button right there, as well as my snap feature. So I want my click on, or if I want my click off, I also have hotkeys for that so that I can control it with my keyboard. But what if you want to control your pre-roll settings, your volume, all that fun stuff? You go to Options, Metronome and Pre-roll Settings, and now you can adjust the volumes that everything's going to be at, just to make sure that it works with what you want. I want it kind of in there. I want 2 count-in measures before I go. I want to count in before recording. And I like that beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop. So I'm going to have that capital A, 3 lowercase a as my signature or beats. Lastly, if you want to change the tempo, we're not going to here, but if you want to, you can right-click up above here. And if you learn the hotkey, it's even easier. And look, as you see right here, a bunch of hotkeys are displayed. That allows you to just learn them quickly. If I want to insert a tempo or time signature marker, I can go here, and this is where I can change my BPM. As you can see, I have it set to 145 and not 140. So things are going to be a little different. You can gradually transition tempos from marker to marker as well. If you want to have like that slow climb or that slow decline, this is really whatever you want to do. And then if you want to get rid of that, hold Alt and click. If you want to turn off your plugins, just hold Shift and click. Like, it's really wonderful, actually, the things you're capable of doing with this. And then lastly, well, let's just kind of quickly show you what you can do with this interface. So as you can see, I have everything set up. We have our monitor on. We have our click track on. You can hear my guitar coming out. I'm just going to start right at the riff, or right at the drum beat. So let's just see what happens. I am in no means going to try to show off here. I'm just going to try to get the point across of what you can do with this interface. See, you can, like, if you look at the wavelengths there, you can see your guitar. If you wanted to split it up at different spots, you could do that as well, just by, like, hitting S. And now, if we wanted to, just for shits and giggles, let's hear it back. And And as you can tell, I completely flubbed that second riff off the hop and changed it randomly. But so you can see that it does add a lot of benefits to be able to go around and adjust a lot of these things on the fly. So I would really advise, if you can, have one person in your band that can run this. Because say there are days where you don't have the ability to bring someone into band practice, you can now really easily just bring in your core songwriters or like your guitarist and vocalist or whatever and just hammer something out and get some ideas made, demo some tracks out, just do something productive. And that is a really handy tool to have. Lastly, I want to really explain how important it is to make sure that you have an autosave feature on. And I feel real contradictory saying that and not being able to show how I set it up on this DAW. I did it 8 months ago and I haven't had to look back. But essentially, the beauty of having an autosave is if you have it set to do an autosave every 5 or 10 minutes or so, if it fucks up and glitches and just shuts down on you, you'll have a backup of your most recent work and changes. And all you need to do is go and find that autosave file and load it, and it'll bring back what you had. I know a lot of people are really bad at hitting Control S and saving stuff. I've had it happen to me numerous times to a point where I just could not allow it, and now I have an autosave feature. No matter what DAW you are using, if you're writing and recording or putting any amount of time into this, make sure there's an autosave and make sure you continually save as well, because nothing feels worse than putting in a bunch of work to watch it all just disappear before your eyes and having to start from scratch. With that, I hope this has been helpful. This is the first time I've kind of tried something like this. I'm not used to this dual setup between the screens and getting all this audio figured out. The videos themselves are still really foreign to me, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm improving them from time to time. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope that maybe I can go a bit more in depth on more stuff like this as we progress and move forward together. And I just hope you guys are all having fun as well, creating music and going at this with really kind of straightforward mindsets on the easy things that you can do to be creative. Don't set yourselves up with situations where you can't do anything. Again, if you have one person who's able to run this, the realms of possibility are opened up astronomically, especially with the different types of effects and synths you have. Like I said, right now I just have guitars right here running off MIDI. I could easily make that a different type of synth or percussion instrument or whatever based off sound banks. And then same thing, all you have to do is go find your notes and experiment. And if you guys take the time, you'll have a lot of fun. With that, I hope you all have a great week. See you all next time. Take care.